Today, we're drywalling and finishing a tub and shower start to finish the classic way.
With no specialty tools, materials, or trim.
So let's get started on modern builds. And step one is gonna be masking off this shower stall.
I'm using pre-taped masking plastic, and this stuff is really handy. I'll leave a link to everything I'm using in the description below. If you're like me and you're a little messy, the time spent here is way less than the time you would spend cleaning up.
Moving on. If you're installing sliding shower doors like I am, it's important to make sure that your shower wall is plumbed. This side looks great, definitely within the margin for error, but this side needs to kick out at the top. Almost 1/8 of an inch. I'll grab some drywall shims out of a pack that I picked up and create a 3-layered tapered shim to go behind the shower wall.
The shim is a little bit thinner at the bottom, and I just went back with the same screws as before.
And now the moment of truth, we'll double check it with our level, and that's perfect. I've got my multi-tool with a wood and metal blade to help cut away this drywall and any metal trim along the top of the shower so I have a consistent 4-inch reveal. This will make splicing in our new drywall easy. And along the vertical edges of the drywall, I cut away just a little bit more right in the middle of the joining 2x4. This way, the new drywall going on here is wide enough that it won't be brittle and break on us during installation.
Along the cut, I added some drywall screws to the old drywall to make sure it was locked in also.
That old drywall is secure, but now I want to address these shims above the shower flange. These old 1/8-inch strips were put in originally, and they're here to bring out the drywall so that it can go over this tub flange with no problems. These are pretty much perfect, so I've got no need to remove them.
I just nailed in some cutoffs in empty spaces, and then I moved out to the shop to cut down some plywood that's also about 1/8 inch thick to shim out or add blocking to the other 2 walls. This is cut to about 3 inches wide, and it doesn't need to be perfect. I just used my circular saw. This plywood shim or blocking is gonna sit just above the shower wall flange, and I nailed it to my 2x4 studs using my brad nailer.
And now we're ready for drywall. Let's do it. In the drywall section, you'll see some green colored drywall, and that's mold resistant. This is what you'll want to use pretty much anywhere in your bathroom. And it cuts so easily with a sharp utility knife.
You can cut drywall with just about any power tool, but it'll make a whole lot of dust. That's why I recommend a sharp utility knife. If you have any custom or non-straight cuts, a multi-tool or jigsaw is great for that. The 2 side pieces that I cut were 3 inches wide, and the piece for above the shower wall is going to be closer to 4 1/4. You also don't need the tightest margins when you're doing this drywall work because drywall mud will fill the gaps.
And I had to take out just a little bit of meat from the back of this piece to get around this larger screw head for the long screw I needed to put in here.
Before screwing in the drywall, I grabbed my silicone.
Make sure that this is silicone caulk, not latex. And I'm applying a bead of this at the base of the flange so that water could never creep behind the drywall to even get to the screws. But I'll still probably put a dollop on each screw and the seam at the top of our shower flange where it meets our plywood shim material.
I'm using 1 5/8 inch drywall screws, but 1 1/4 is standard for walls. We've just got a little bit more material to go through since I've got the shim material all around this shower. Whenever you install drywall screws, you want to make sure that they're not sitting proud of the paper, but you also don't want to recess them so far that you break the paper face. It's a little tricky until you get the hang of it, and there are specialty bits that you can get that help prevent that from happening. I spaced my screws out about 12 inches apart. The vertical on the shower head side is going to butt up with a larger piece above it, instead of going to the ceiling.
My shower arm connects through the drywall, so I'm gonna screw it on real quick. Now I've got a suspicion that I put a little too much blocking behind our drop ear for the shower. I'll find out by putting a scrap piece of drywall up against it, and yep, you can see that there's about a 1/4 inch gap right here. That's no problem though. I'm just gonna remove one of these 2x4 blocking pieces and swap it out for a 3/4 inch radiata pine board, and we should be golden. And now when I put this scrap drywall back, the flange should cover it, just like that. I didn't have to use this 3/4 inch spacer, but doing it gives us the maximum rainfall shower arm length.
I took measurements of where my shower arm would be, as well as how large of a drywall piece I needed to cover this up. This time I used a straight edge while I scored the drywall with my utility knife, and that gave me a little bit of a cleaner cut. Next, I'll make the opening for the shower arm to connect through, and to do that, I'm using a hole saw in my drill. Whoops! I supported it on a bucket, which is an easy way to make a cut on a construction site. Then I applied a healthy dose of silicone to my shower wall flange before installing the drywall. I pushed this drywall up while I screwed it in at first because this will help it support the drywall on the ceiling. Then I wiped away any squeeze out.
And as you can see, the shower outlet is perfectly centered. That's drywall installation complete. Now let's tape and mud these walls. I'm using Fast Set 40 joint compound for this first coat. This sets up, like you would guess, in 40 minutes, so you can do a second coat quickly. When you mix this up, it should be pretty light and fluffy, but not thinned out enough that it will run off your putty knife. Before tape goes on, we'll lay down a healthy amount of joint compound to flood the surface and fill any gaps. And quick beginner tip, I pre-cut my drywall tape to length before mixing my mud to make this next step a little easier. I'm just gonna center this tape between our old and new drywall first. I don't need to use much pressure because I'll come back with my putty knife and bed this tape by squeezing out all the excess.
And during this process, I'm using medium pressure. And that's piece one complete.
Now I'm gonna load up right to the top of this shower wall for the next piece of tape.
I made sure this joint compound was spread evenly.
And the tape is also gonna butt right up to the shower plastic.
If you have bubbling in your tape, that either means there's too much joint compound behind it that needs to be squeezed out, or there's not enough and there's not good contact between the joint compound and your tape. Right now, I'm working on a situation that's pretty unique to my project, which is blending out the big patch that I needed to make where I'm covering up the old window that used to sit above the tub and shower that were installed previously.
One wall down.
I've seen a lot of people making content on what's called Trim-tex tearaway drywall trim. It's plastic trim that you would use where the drywall meets the shower wall. It's pretty cool, but it is really hard to get and expensive. Whereas paper drywall tape is probably already on your supplies list, and people have been making showers this way for decades with no problems with waterproofing, and you can get a super clean look. When you're taping here, it's the opportunity to get a really straight reveal to your shower wall.
Now it's time for our first corner. I'll load this up with joint compound on each side, same as all the other joints, but I'm gonna bend my paper right here along the seam in the middle before it goes in.
Just like on the flats, I used medium pressure to bed the tape and squeeze out the excess, and then squeezed a thin layer of joint compound on top of the tape.
I wouldn't recommend mixing more than about a quarter of this bag at once, unless you're a pro. I probably only used about half of what I mixed up.
Hot mud is really interesting because it's very workable right up until the point that it cures.
Let's get it.
It's easy to be troweled and worked until it starts to cure, and then in 1 minute, it's done. The upside though is that you can do a second coat in less than an hour instead of waiting overnight like you would do if you use standard joint compound. On my vertical drywall repairs, I applied joint compound and then taped the seam between the old drywall and the new drywall first. After bedding that tape and smoothing everything out, I applied more joint compound and then a second piece of tape, and this is butting up to the shower wall. If you've got standard baseboard trim, you do want about an 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch gap between your drywall and the floor. Mine's going straight to the ground though. Before I skim coat this whole room, I'll add a little bit of plastic edging to separate the walls from the floor for moisture. These verticals are the only pieces of tape that I didn't pre-cut just because they're pretty long, and you can see it's pretty inconvenient trying to deal with the paper roll during install. I just had a little bit of hot mud left, so I used that to backfill the space where the window was. Then I used a wet sponge to clean up the joint compound.
I am genuinely pumped with this first coat. It looks awesome. I'm just gonna use my putty knife to take down a few of these ridges. And after that's leveled out a little bit, I'll grab my drywall sander and I'll load it up with a sanding net.
I used 120 grit to sand this first coat. Hot mud is a little tougher to sand than standard joint compound, which I typically like to sand with 220 grit. I've still got a whole lot of negative space to fill up on these repairs, so I'm only sanding down the high points and ridges.
On this second coat, we're gonna be using standard, all-purpose, lightweight joint compound. This is convenient because it's already mixed to the perfect ratio to go on smooth. I've also switched to a 10-inch drywall knife. This just gives me a little bit wider of a reference space to help feather out my joint compound and blend it with the existing drywall.
The second coat that I'm applying is pretty thick. I've got a big repair here on the back wall. The center of this wall bumps out a little bit where the old window was, and so the two sides need to be built out just a little bit to match it. And remember, I'm not looking for an A+ finish here. We're gonna still sand and do a final coat. I'm shooting for like a B-.
And I'm not even gonna worry about that tiny ridge. I'd probably end up making this worse trying to flatten it out. It'll sand easy.
With the wider drywall knife, it's a little bit easier to accidentally spill or plop some joint compound when you don't mean to. I hope that this really shows the basic idea though. You wanna build up the joint compound a little bit heavy before you feather out your finish smooth.
Whoa, that was close. I think I had real fear in my eyes right there. Now I'm gonna put a lot of pressure on the outside where I wanna feather this out. Look at that. That should save a lot of sanding and look great.
Then I try and do my finishing passes as one continuous swipe with no stops. On a wall like this one, you can do your repair just above the shower and blend out the repair, or you can take the joint compound to the ceiling. That's what I did. And in general, you want to remove any old joint compound or paint that's peeling from your old drywall where it meets your new drywall. Otherwise, all your work can bubble and peel away.
And for real, don't be worried about little imperfections like this.
Whether you're going to add a texture to your walls or if you're going to skim coat them, you can always come back and fix small divots in your joint compound.
Coat 2 complete. I'm going to throw a fan in here to help this dry out a little bit quicker.
This is where you can learn from my mistake. Between the dry air here in the desert and the fan circulating, this dried too quickly and cracked. This isn't a huge problem, but we do need to backfill it.
Really quick, I want to give a big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring today's episode. Designing your own website or online store has never been easier with Squarespace's design intelligence and Blueprint AI, Squarespace's next generation AI-enhanced website builder. Just tell them a little bit about your brand or business and you get a custom website template built by AI that you can edit infinitely. Squarespace sites also have tons of great features like SEO integration. They do all the complicated backend work to make sure you show up more often on search engines. And with Squarespace invoices, you can get paid faster and impress your clients with on-brand invoices. And streamline your workflow from proposals to contracts, invoices, and seamless online payments all in one place. And finally, with Squarespace email campaigns, you've got all the tools you need to engage your clients, promote your services, and build your business built in. So to learn more, make sure and follow my link down in the description. That's squarespace.com/modernbuilds. And then when it's time to make your new site live, don't forget to use my code MODERNBUILDS for 10% off your first site, store, or domain through Squarespace. As always, thanks to Squarespace. Now let's finish up this project. I've loaded up 220 grit sanding net onto my sanding pad, and I also trimmed the edge flush rather than letting it extend out, and that'll help me make sure I don't scratch my shower walls or tub.
Before I was just sanding down my high points or ridges, but now I'm really trying to make a flat surface. I know I'm still gonna have some small divots and voids to backfill, but if I feel any bulges or high points now, I'm gonna be sanding those back so that everything is smooth. I tried not to get right up against the shower walls with my drywall sander. For that, I used a sanding sponge, and I used the edge with no sandpaper on it against the shower wall.
This last coat is not going on thick. The plan is to backfill any negative spaces, but not really build up on any of our high points. This should finally get us to flat and backfill all of our cracks. And there might be a small imperfection here or there that I'll come back and spot check after this coat dries and is sanded.
Most drywall tutorials leave it at 2 coats, but I honestly think that's a little ambitious for most beginners. I'd plan for a 3rd coat.
Sweet!
Earlier when I applied the joint compound, I used medium pressure, but now I'm using hard pressure. My goal is to add basically 0 joint compound where we've already sanded and established flat. I only want to backfill any negative spaces or cracks that happened while this was drying on the 2nd coat. It's also a great opportunity to make sure all of my corners are clean and my shower reveal looks really straight to the eye. And that's coat number 3 complete.
Once all this dries, I will sand it super smooth and just spot check a couple of low spots. But this is where you would either texture or skim coat your walls, which is what I'm gonna do.
This is basically called a level 5 finish, and it's just a dead smooth, no texture, modern look.
After this coat, we are finally finished. I am super proud of myself. This is a borderline perfect result.
And as this dried, you could see the few low spots I had as it was curing.
I'm barely gonna touch this with the sanding sponge.
This is my favorite tool to use on the corners because it's got sandpaper on multiple sides. And you can clean fully cured joint compound off your shower walls or tub with a wet sponge. And after that, I removed all my masking.
And we are done. So thanks a ton for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. And if you're a pro at this, make sure and leave any helpful comments or tips down below for people taking this project on. As always, make sure and like, comment, and subscribe. The full bathroom renovation is coming soon. I'll leave a link to that down below. And we'll see you next time on Modern Builds. Bye, everybody.